We're live right now, right?
Yeah, no rest for the weary. We're live. Boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town, man.
It's been a minute. Last episode was RJ, so that's been a while. It's been a little while.
What, about 2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah. Good thing we got a lot of content from him. Shout out to RJ.
We did get a ton of content from him. Shout out to RJ. What a dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 24. I only remember that because we said Jordan episode was RJ. So 24, here we go. Almost a quarter way to 100.
Yes, sir.
I said seasons for this would be 100 episodes, but now I'm thinking about it. 100 might be a lot. Maybe we do 50.
50 is good.
We'll see. Maybe we get the ball rolling and we get to 50 quick.
We get 100 in a year.
Oh, we'll have 100 by the end of 24, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting.
Listen, we'll keep trying to crush it, man. It's this work we got going on in here.
You specifically have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Mine's going to start ramping up here soon with school. But yeah, you got a lot going on, so it's been tough.
Yes, you are in school.
Well, yeah. But we don't have to talk about that.
I kind of want to talk about it, but we can leave it off.
What part of school? Well, don't say the school because I don't need people to know where I'm going to school. But
only because I think you're going to be on a real campus. Like, that's kind of fun.
I'm commuting this year. This semester, I'm commuting.
That is true. You are going to be commuting.
But next year, I'll be there the whole time. So next year will be my big year. But yeah, commuting this year, so that kind of puts a damper in.
It works though because it's close by to the training facility. It's close by to here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good spot.
It's close to everything. I mean, in your perspective, you drive wherever you have to go, so like anything's close for you.
I was just in the process. I actually just moved. So
you did just move. So hopefully you guys will be seeing us in a different scene shortly.
You absolutely will be seeing us in a different scene.
It's a nice place. It's a a
good spot.
It is.
It's a really good spot.
I'm excited for that.
And I'm gonna get the director's chairs for that spot.
That'll be nice.
Put it all like in the middle, and then you get the skyline.
Yeah, stay tuned. Boys are coming.
It's gonna be a cool situation in there. I'm excited about it.
Oh man, we're on one camera today, so like I'm thinking when you're talking, I can kind of just like do whatever I need.
Drift off a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm always listening, but it's like sometimes I do like my subtleties, but now I got to stay locked in. What do we want to talk about today? So 2024, we're kicking off. We're end of January almost. I would consider.
Yeah.
I'm finishing my third book of 2024. Okay. So we're 3 weeks. I'm averaging a book of a week. And
you feel well read?
I feel like a different person.
Okay.
Almost like not completely a different person. I'm still obviously who I am, but
sure.
It's been unbelievable what reading has done for me. And I don't know if it's the books or it's just reading in general, but I don't even know how I feel. I don't know how to explain it. I think only if you read you can really understand it. But yeah, I mean, the greatest choice I've ever made was reading consistently.
Right.
And it's just that hour. Like we have a lot going on, but now every morning it's almost my routine where I can wake up, put that clock on an hour, and just be at peace in a book and not really worried about the other outside world. And a lot of it, I guess, has to do with peace. It's just very peaceful. I'm learning stuff.
It's a new world you enter when you start reading the book.
Especially when you get like locked into it, because sometimes you can read and like not be there, and then there's other times where like you're only there. So it's nice when you enter that like state of just being in that book.
It's very spiritual, yeah. We talk about spirituality a lot in here.
We do, yeah, and I mean it's similar. I'm not the most spiritual, so you could speak on that a little more than I can, but it's been remarkable what reading has done for me.
It's awesome.
It has.
Books are great, and I think I don't read enough of them in the times where I have the downtime, but I do read and listen to audiobooks often. So when I can, I think the audiobooks I listen to a lot, but reading, sometimes I just don't get around to it because of how busy you are, but it's just prioritizing it a little bit. And I like the self-help books. Self-wellness.
That's like the trend, I think, lately. Well, not.
I think that trend started probably like 6 or 7 years ago.
It's a great trend.
It's a good trend.
You can never go wrong.
Trends out there.
Can never go wrong with reading a self-help book. So I'm all about that.
What's the last book you read?
I'm finishing up The Creative. Is it The Creative Act or The Creative Way? I keep flipping those, but it's The Creative Act or Way by Rick Rubin.
Okay.
So I started that a while ago, and then I just abandoned it. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Now that I'm in it, we're finishing this. And that book has really taught me like to kind of, I don't know who is it, Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, the Be Water, my friend.
Bruce Lee, yeah.
A lot of that book makes me think about that. It's like and it's all about the creative process more so for artists, but it applies to life and just being flowy and being able to go with the flow and not being too hard on yourself at some points, but understanding when you have to really turn on the gas at some other points.
Have you ever heard of Ryan Holiday?
Yeah,
with the Daily Stoic.
With the Daily Stoic.
I want to start reading those, and they're pretty short in reality to what normal books are. But it's a lot of gems in there, and one of my friends, he got into the Daily Stoicism of, I think it becomes not only like an ideology, but sort of its own religion to a degree. I think it might be even religion at this point, but it's really interesting stuff. And I won't get into much of religion, but it's interesting though.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Absolutely. Meditations is his book? That's Aristotle's work that he kind of, I don't know if he translated or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's echoed a lot of the sentiments that he's kind of got into.
So
what's the thing that you probably felt the most? What's the one thing that has been the key difference in you reading versus when you weren't?
Key difference, I would say my perspective. Well, just based on the books I've read, it's my perspective on being a man. Because my first book was a science book. I'm a science junkie, as you know. So it was a book on string theory and just like a lot of that particle stuff, which goes over everybody's head, mine included. But
it's very interesting as well.
So that was.
Are you Neil deGrasse Tyson guy?
Not really. I mean, he's all right.
I don't know enough about him. I just know that he argues with Joe Rogan, but he always gets him on. I think he's fascinating. I think he thinks he's fascinating.
He is a fascinating guy. He's just not my cup of tea to like listen to.
Sure.
It's
such a thing too. Like there's so many times where there's people who have really interesting information who I cannot gravitate to.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing. Like there's like the guy, Diary of a CEO.
Who is that?
I don't even know if you've seen that. I can't remember his name, but I just can't gravitate to the great stuff he's saying. Like objectively, he talks to really interesting people, and I think he's saying really cool things too. But I just can't gravitate to it. Something about it is like not clicking for me.
I mean, it just happens. Some people are great, like very knowledgeable, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is very knowledgeable,
extremely knowledgeable,
but. Yeah, I just can't. I struggle to listen to him, so I just don't. But so that was my first book. Second book was The Warrior Poet Way, which was one of the most impactful reads I've ever read.
I got you through that. That helped you look at perspective and things differently.
That's the one, and it's fresh in my mind because I just read it. But a lot of the things he said in that book is gonna change how I like approach life as a man. And John Lovell, the guy who wrote it, is I deep dived him and everything about him because his writing was just amazing. And if you're a man, it's mostly geared towards men in today's world. So if you're a man, you should definitely read that book.
Warrior the Poet.
Even a woman can read it too.
Yeah.
A lot of it is with family, so anybody can read it. But yeah, that book changed my perspective on how I'm going to approach being a man. So that's not reading versus reading. What do you think one thing is
that you're going to approach differently?
Yeah, he says his main point is be all warrior and all poet, not one or the other. And like by poet, he means like that soft side of a man who can approach a woman and be gentle, care for his kids. And then obviously we know the warrior side of being a warrior and being masculine, just embracing that because a lot of people don't want to embrace it nowadays, and we're being told all these different things by the media of what is a man, what is a woman, yada yada yada. So now it's just like embrace being a man, be masculine, but also have that side of you where you're also a poet, in his words. And that's my goal, is to be able to be violent when I need to be violent in a good way, like being a martial artist and being knowledgeable in like firearms and safety and everything, but also be able to tap into that other side, which I haven't necessarily done. Well, not that I haven't done. It's a work in progress.
To the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't honed in on the craft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's my approach now, and that's what I'm trying to do. So we're gonna keep trying to do it.
I like it.
But yeah, so
I like it. I think I listen. The books are great. I like that you're getting into them too, because I think that's the biggest thing from a podcast perspective too. Is you just need the way this thing continues to grow and the way we continue to keep creating an audience is perspective. And like, if we don't have enough of that, then it's going to be tough to accomplish the goal of being able to do that. Speaking of perspective, the election's kind of heating up.
Yo, that's in my notes. I put election
I wanted
year.
to kind of talk about that too. It's election year. And election years are always interesting for me because we've been through some very impactful ones, and there's something about the politics that I don't like during the 3.5 years, but something in the 6 to 8 months leading up to the election, I love. And I love understanding policy when it's time to start understanding the policy. And I think maybe I should understand it all the time, but it doesn't consume my life during the day-to-day, because as an American too, I think that we look at things very, we don't see the minutia of all of what goes on when it comes to the taxes, to the stock market, to like you can go through your life without having to understand some of those things.
Yeah.
And once it's time and it starts affecting your day-to-day, the biggest thing that I think most people will see is inflation, gas prices, and taxes. And if one of those three, or two of those three things, or three of those three things are affecting you on a day-to-day, and you know that in this election, some of those things may change in your favor or not, that's when you know you're affected. But like, there's a lot of people who are absolved from those feelings. Like, there was a point when I was 14 years old, inflation didn't matter to me because I was getting everything bought for me. At 16, gas prices started to become a thing because I was going to start to drive soon. But like, I wasn't paying for my own gas at 16 like that. Like, I was a baseball player. So
Yeah.
like, and taxes weren't a thing either until I started to work. But like, before those things even existed, like there's a large majority of the world that doesn't have to worry about that. And so it's interesting now that as I have my own official own place with no roommate, I own 3 businesses, and I have to monitor and look at life the way I have to look at it and fend for myself, truly fend for myself without anybody else being around me. It's like, now you see why the politics are so important to kind of learn. But even then, you could still slightly still have some of these things disappear in your normal day-to-day. Like, it all affects you. Like, inflation affects me. Like, I went to get some milk the other day.
Oh.
Milk is $5.
Yo.
Like, good milk, which, like, it's hard to say it's good milk. Like, good, but the milk that is, like, top shelf milk is $5.99.
Yeah.
To $7.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
It's wild.
Bacon's expensive.
Dude, I paid,
Like,
I went to Whole Foods, I paid, I think it was $4 to $5 for that little batch of raspberries. Like, that's no business being $5, but
that's
it
why
was.
you go to honestly, it's where, like, and even farms are starting to understand, like, the inflation is important for them because of the growing process. To Farmers Association, I'm sure, is becoming it's not as simple as it used to be when it comes to the infrastructure. So now things are just getting expensive even at the local farms. And so, like, it almost becomes like a novelty when you go to the local farm because it is so good and you can't get this anywhere else. So we're going to upcharge you. And that's like, I hear that problem from friends that I have in like upstate New York or like Michigan. So it's like, it's just such an interesting thing that now we all see. And now you could see why certain states are swing states, certain states are liberal, certain states are a little bit more conservative. And Trump won Iowa, at least from the caucuses.
So Vivek Ramaswamy, I think his name is,
he got off
one of the top. He was up there with Trump. I mean, I think Trump has always been on top in the Republican Party, but now Vivek is completely gone. He stepped down. Now he's endorsing Trump. So now Vivek's out. So now who is it? It's Trump. It's that girl Haley, right? and
DeSantis.
DeSantis are like the top three, I think, if I
Yeah.
have to say.
For sure.
And then we got Joe Biden on the other side, obviously. It's interesting. It's interesting to see what happens this election year because 2020 was crazy, as we know,
Right.
for election year. Hopefully, no other pandemic comes about this year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you can. I mean, come on, like, and people,
now that's a thought. That's crazy. That's a thought.
It is crazy that's a thought, and how people feel like that was almost like a predetermined thing, and it's like, I won't go there either. But
Patreon.
That's a very long Patreon episode of how that could be conspired.
All of politics right now could be a Patreon
extravaganza. Dude, like.
I tread lightly in the politics just because
I do
mean,
tread lightly. I think what I like to talk about it in more is how interesting it all is. Like, I think it's a very interesting business. I think it's an interesting social phenomenon that we can't really get through for some reason. Like, I can truly talk about it, but it's only because I think, and this is one thing on it too, is I think I can talk about it because I really truly don't have that much stake in the game just yet, as far as like what are the things that truly affect me versus what don't. And I think that there's people who are extremely radical about the things that affect them and what don't, and what things people gravitate to the most when it comes to like ideology more than anything. And so and that's where the political and religion aspect is so embedded to each other, like, and how you don't want to talk about them, but like I think we're finding more people who are willing to talk about it.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I think people are more willing to say things, and I'm all for it. I think we got a freedom of speech, so as long as it's not hate speech.
Right.
Like hate speech is a completely different ballpark than just simply talking about politics, having a discussion.
For sure.
So there's a line, but I'm all for open conversations, and
I am.
Maybe we should promote it more, but at least for like podcasters that are posting on YouTube's pretty strict on their like policies of what you say. Like they'll shadow ban you and they'll ban you. So at some point there's a line that you can't really cross if you want to like put it out.
I keep it basic. I keep things extremely basic when it comes to politics, but I think it's such an interesting. I think it's what it does to people is what's interesting to me. Yeah. And so, but football does that same thing to people as well. And so speaking of football, we got right into the wild card weekend, and that was a little wild.
Yeah, what did I watch? I watched something. See, I don't watch much of it, but I watched something, and start naming what happened, and I'll remember what I saw.
Eagles lost badly.
Saw that.
To the Bucks, 32-9. I know the Cowboys laid an egg, so to speak.
I saw that
against the Packers. The teams that were supposed to win didn't win. The favorites were.
I saw the Lions.
If you were an underdog better this weekend, you won a lot of money, and so it was tough, man. It was tough to see. It's always great to see the Eagles lose. It's funny to watch the Cowboys lose.
You're gonna get a lot of hate for that.
Only because of my good friend Ronnie, who is the biggest Cowboys fan you'll probably know in the Northeast, and he's just a character. You got to go to his Instagram to go see some of his videos after the wins and losses. So he's incredible with that. So, but that being said, it's always good to see both those teams in some sort of misery. And specifically the Eagles, though, it's always good to watch the Philadelphia teams lose.
You have some close people that are big-time Eagles fans.
It's great to watch them lose. Like, great.
Oh, man.
But I get it, though. Like, I guess for me, like, as a Jets fan, like, all we do is lose. So, like, when they feel this way,
at least this is
great.
At least you can admit that.
Yeah. Jets aren't a good organization, but we're trying to figure things out. And just when we start to try to figure it out, it doesn't work.
It's a rebuild year.
We're getting there, though. We're getting there. We have all the right pieces, and it almost has to work. I was just talking to my brother about this too. Like, with the situation our GM is in right now, like based off what we saw in the playoffs, like, you almost have the window is next year. And like, because Super Bowl windows are tough. Like, Super Bowls are not easy to get to. Probably the hardest thing to get to in sports, just based off of like the players, the rules, the teams, and how quickly your window can be there and then just evaporate. So like, that being said, it's just not easy. It's almost like being the champ. Like, how long was these guys the champ when it came to like Kamaru Usman. Like Kamaru Usman was a champ for what felt like years.
Yeah.
But it was probably like a year and a half, 2 years.
It was a few years. Yeah, it was a few years.
But now he's not there anymore. Like it's just not there. So like, and I don't know if he'll get back. And people always have that conversation of like, oh, he's always going to be a contender. He's always going to be able to get there. But it's hard.
It's tough.
It's extremely hard. And in the NFL, it might be 1 year.
Yeah.
You might be able to get there one time, and in the next 5 to 10 years, you just don't get there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough journey.
Speaks to the great teams that have done it multiple times and great coaches.
Oh man!
And so, I mean, I had a few questions that came up just because on the outside looking in on football, because I consider myself an outsider on football.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl prediction first for you.
I'll be there, by the way.
You are going to be there.
I will be there.
You will be there.
I will be in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. I'm going to meet up with some people that I know. I've got some business I'm trying to do out there. Las Vegas is going to be a time to be had.
It's going to be interesting. That's going to be crazy.
It's going to be fascinating.
It's not too far away, too. It's a few weeks, right?
February 10th, yeah.
3-4 weeks, something like that.
It's going to be insane.
Right around the corner. So Super Bowl prediction, and then the other one, I saw Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. That's crazy. So I actually don't know where I was going with that question. I lost my question.
Well, they just both retired. I don't know what Nick Saban's going to do. I think he's probably going to be either on whatever. I think he's going to go sit down for a while because he's an older guy. He's like in his late 60s.
Doesn't look like
70s.
it though.
No, he doesn't. He's outside in the Alabama heat. He's good and he's $12 to $15 million up each year. So he's got $150 million in the bank.
He's all right.
Sure.
He's all right.
Yeah, he's doing okay. And, so you're always going to look a little younger when you get in that situation. But Bill Belichick did leave, and he probably got fired more than anything. And I don't know where he's going to go. There's rumblings about the Eagles because I do think he makes sense there, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I mean, there's a lot of teams that might have upside for him to be able to say, you know what, I can choose where I want to go. Because there's a lot of there's about 7 coaching vacancies right now.
That's wild.
It's a lot. Yeah, they call it Black Monday, where like right after the playoffs or right after the season starts, right after the season ends and the playoffs start, it's Black Monday, where like coaches just get canned. And, like they wait till that last day, and then guys are like, I'm talking 1:00 game. By 5:00 that night, they're like, yeah, you're done.
See ya.
Most of the time, I'm sure the coaches know it to a degree, and they probably talk to their agents. And they're like, listen, we're 3-10. And it's not looking good. The players don't love the philosophy. You're probably going to get canned this year. Let's start looking for new jobs. Which is probably a brutal conversation to have.
At least you're being real with yourself and your people. I mean,
it's brutal because
than
you have to think about your family at that point too. Like some of these guys have deeply rooted families, and then you take them and move them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And based off of your father's job, like think about if your dad was doing something for like a year and a half somewhere, and then all of a sudden he got fired. And it's like, okay, now they hired me in San Antonio, and it was like, or they hired me in Houston, they hired me in Vegas, and we got to go now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
now you got to look for a new school, or your little sister's got to look for a new place to start working. Like little things like that. That's just like the sport world life is like, you got to give those men and women credit, whoever coach at the highest level, because like people just get canned.
Yeah, that's crazy. So my question came back, by the way. So it was on Bill Belichick. From what I saw on social media, there were some, not debates, but just like hypotheticals or whatever you want to call it. I don't know this, so this will be a good answer. Was Bill Belichick a great coach, or did Tom Brady and his team help him? Because Nick Saban, I think, is a great coach from what I saw.
I think Bill Belichick's a good coach, bad GM. So he's also the assistant general manager of the team. If not general manager, he might have actually been the general manager, but I know he was an assistant for sure. He was making decisions on players.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he's a great GM because he has not in probably the last 5 to 8 years picked the right players that have been able to develop. He's developed a secondary extremely well, which is like cornerbacks and like linebackers and safeties and stuff like that. He does a good job with that. And I think he knows how to develop a D-line to a degree. He's not good with offense. He has not picked a impact wide receiver or impact running back in probably close to a decade.
Jeez.
And that was the whole gripe with him and Tom Brady is that like I don't have any weapons here, but like I'm still winning football games. So I think I'd say probably like 60-40 Brady.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
You need a system. You need a good system to be in if you're gonna win. You know, it's not just Tom Brady going out there and like all of a sudden his team's not disciplined and like they don't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
So there's got to be that part of it that the head coach does put into play. But yeah, it's honest. It's tough. I don't love the narrative that coaches, in some regard, and it really depends on the sport, but coaches provide discipline.
Mm.
And I don't think they always provide the technique and the skill. Because most of the time, if you have a good team, you don't really need the coach to tell you that we're good. You know what I mean? Like most coaches already can understand. They can look at a group, and whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer, hockey, and you can look at a group right now, and you don't play football. You could see a football team right now and be like, that team's 10-0, and you watch them play, you're like, this team's good.
Yeah.
Like, I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But they get really good or they become special when like a coach knows how to create discipline and has a good emotional connection to the players.
Mm.
And I think that's maybe where you start to get lost when it comes to Belichick. Like I think he's like 60s, late 60s, early 70s. Like it's just not easy to relate at that point.
Mm.
I'm talking you're 60, a 65-year-old grandfather you might have doesn't talk to you the same way.
You're talking about the weather.
That's what I'm saying. Like they don't even relate to you in any fashion at this point. They try.
Yeah.
They try to, and there's some things that all there's a small amount of things that cross over, but like no,
Yeah.
they're not on the same page. Unless you're around them all the time, and like most of these guys still have family and people that they don't necessarily always have to be around football.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it is an interesting thing. What's even more interesting is UFC 300. I think that's like
it's a name heavy, but it's a good card. I like the card.
I thought you'd say it's a great card.
I don't know. I think it can be a great card based on performances, but
I think it's a great card.
Name value, I don't think it's overwhelming.
Really?
Oh, we're talking 300.
300.
I'm thinking Saturday with Strickland. I'm sorry.
No,
that's
no,
on
no,
me.
no, no,
That's on me. Guys, that's on me.
Because Strickland's that whole card okay.
We're talking two different cards here.
No. I'm talking
all right.
300 and 299.
Hold on. 300, 299 are unbelievable.
Which one do you want to go over first? 299 and 300?
What do I know? I know 300 more.
It's Olia and Volk.
Wait, 300.
299.
299 is it Ilya and Volk?
The 17th, right?
Let's get this straight.
Ilya and Volk, I believe.
Jeez, my cards are all over the place here. Okay, hold on. UFC,
well, they did it the wrong way. They like put it out first.
UFC 299 is O'Malley and Chito Vera.
Got it.
Okay, hold on.
Understood.
Let's do 299. Let's do 299 and then 300. 297 is this weekend. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis. I think
Raquel Pennington.
Strickland brings him to deep waters and he finishes him. So that's my official prediction. But other than that, card's okay. Arnold Allen's on the card. I mean, realistically, it's not a great card. So that's why
it's fine. It's fine. It's not a. It's a UFC like. It's an MMA head card.
Yeah.
Like if you're really into mixed martial arts and you really want to watch something this weekend, you're gonna have a good time watching it.
Everybody's gonna watch it because it's the first pay-per-view of the year, and we've been off for over a month outside last week.
Hold on, I'm actually looking at this 6 days ago. Is Rose not ranked?
Rose, she's not ranked.
It doesn't say she's ranked here.
No, I think she's ranked.
It says it right? Because usually she would have a number.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's insane, but it's not insane though. Yeah. It's insane, but it's not insane.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
She's fucked off a few fights.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing there?
So all right, let's do. What do we want to do? 299.
Go 299.
We got O'Malley, Chito Vera. I think my instinct says O'Malley with momentum.
Yes, 299. O'Malley versus Vera. I got the card here.
Yeah, I got it too. All right, yeah, you go.
Okay, so let's go over actually the bottom.
Okay.
Dos Anjos versus Gamrot.
That's a great fight.
That's kind of
Dos Anjos is over the hill, unfortunately. I would have loved that
He's
fight.
an older guy.
If he was like 4 years ago, we rewind Dos Anjos but leave Gamrot. Would have loved that. But
would have loved it.
I think at this point in his career, I'm going Gamrot with the pace, with the wrestling. It's my guess.
Okay. You got Blades versus Almeida.
I'm interested to see. I don't think Blades has ever been submitted because he's a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be interested to see what Jalton does on the ground if he can get him there. And I'd be interested to see his striking because we haven't seen it. So official prediction, I think I'm going to pick Blades.
Okay. Jan versus Yadong.
Oh, man.
That's your type of
that's
fight right
my
there.
type of fight.
That
That's my
is.
guy right there. Is
Mhm.
Jan. But Song Yadong, right? I'm saying that right? Man, that's a great fight. I want Peter D to win, so I'm picking him.
Is that a pick 'em though? Is that like a?
It is a
way?
pick 'em because Song Yadong is so good and Peter Yan's on a little bit of a slide. Technique for technique, I think Peter's better
Okay.
everywhere, but I think Song's younger. He's got probably a little more hunger. I'm just gonna ride with Peter Yan. He's
Understood.
my guy.
I like it. Holland versus MVP.
Love that.
Oh wait, I mixed one. Burns versus Della Maddalena.
That's dude. This card I think is better than 300
This is
right
Miami
now.
Too.
Let's go to Miami.
I would love to do that right now. Holy smokes! after Vegas,
Let's go see the aliens.
it's not a bad idea. Let me see how this works. Because this might be a play. But Holland versus MVP.
Holland versus MVP. Hold on. Burns, Maddalena.
Yes.
Dude, I want to pick Maddalena so bad, but I love Burns. Picking Burns by submission.
I like it. Holland versus MVP.
I think Holland's just he's a people person. He's the man of the people. So he's gonna strike with MVP, and he's probably gonna get karateed again
They keep putting him on these cards.
because he's the man of the people.
He really is.
He
He brings a crowd.
I want to sit here and pick him, but he's gonna strike with MVP, which
He's gonna
is
do something
not
stupid.
not a good idea to strike with MVP.
No, he's
so
gonna do something stupid.
I think MVP is gonna win.
Saint Denis versus Poirier.
That's a crazy
I
one.
really want to learn what you think about this because I think this is really interesting.
Benoit Saint Denis is the man. I love that guy. He's a military vet for the French Special Forces,
Okay.
so he's probably killed somebody in his
For
life.
sure, for sure.
So he knows what it's like to kill somebody. Then we got Dustin, who's coming off a head kick loss. He's got the buzz cut back. We just saw
he's buzz cut.
it's buzz cut.
Poirier.
He's back, so we might see a dangerous Dustin coming back.
It's got to be dangerous though.
I'm going.
I don't think he
Dustin-
has a choice.
I'm going Dustin Poirier. I think he still got it.
I don't think he has a choice.
If we see the Dustin that showed up against Dan Hooker, then Benoit's in for a rough night.
Yeah.
It's going to be a war, I think, and I think Dustin can outlast him.
Then O'Malley versus Vera.
Can go a few ways. It
I
can.
like Cheeto.
It
man.
could be a really boring fight.
It could be very boring.
It could be a very boring fight of just circling around the cage, or we can see someone get smoked quickly. Like I'd see a Cheeto head kick, or I'd see an O'Malley right. I'm thinking I'm gonna out on a
Mind
limb.
you, we don't have any betting lines here.
Yeah, just initial thoughts. I'm picking O'Malley based on momentum. Yeah, O'Malley based on momentum. I'll pick O'Malley. So final pick. That card's insane. Oh, the scenes in Miami are gonna be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. Will I be? When is that card? What's the date? What's the date of that card? Do you have it?
That date is March. Let's check that out. March. They didn't even say it. They just said March 2024.
No way. I'll get
There's
it.
got to be a specific date.
March 9th. March 9th.
March 9th.
I'm not
okay.
going to be 21 by then. That stinks. 3 days off of 21.
Yeah.
That sucks for me. Even if we went,
Yeah. No, man.
that's tough. But
That is tough because I would love for you to be able to go out there and have the time.
that's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, on that same line, I was thinking, like, I'm trying to figure out what to do for spring break because I'll be 21. Then my spring break is the week after that, and I'll be 21. So I'm days off of that Miami trip, being 21. And
What would you do?
you
might have to figure out an all-inclusive situation somewhere. That's one of the first things you do at 21 is like, okay, now I can go on like a vacation and like
on spring break.
Yeah, like they have a lot of all-inclusives that like might cost you nothing
That'd
comparatively,
relatively.
Yeah, for your age group, like at 21. Yeah. Huh. I'll do my research.
We'll have to research because I really want. I haven't had a spring. I've either been playing baseball or what did I do last year? I didn't do anything last year. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere. I forget. But yeah. I've been playing baseball all my life, so I never had a spring break. So I really want to have one this year. So I got to figure.
Lauderdale's not bad.
Yeah.
You'll have a good time.
Florida's the obvious, like anywhere in Florida.
Yeah, you just got to say you did it.
Yeah.
You got to go to say you did it. Nashville.
I mean, we were talking about Nashville, so maybe
still in the works.
Maybe I'll save that for when we go, if we go.
Comedy festival out there.
That'd be interesting. My brother said he's down too.
Your brother's down to do everything, dude. I love it. He's a wild dude.
He's a cat. I don't know how far. What time is it?
I unfortunately have to go.
We're wrapping it up, folks.
But
it's been nice to be back.
It is nice to be back. Have a little bit of a conversation, man. We needed one.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the snow doesn't hit, well, the snow's gonna hit.
3 to 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's hitting. It's been cold too.
Yo, it's been cold.
It's been
but
mad cold.
It's been like ice bath.
Like stupid cold.
It's been, you walk outside and you're getting hit with the ice bath by the air, which is great.
It's been kind of nasty out. And like, I had my car outside before I got my parking garage, like stuff going on. And it took like 30 minutes to get my car under the snow.
And I don't have a garage.
That wasn't even a lot of snow this past time, so.
I don't have a garage in my house, so it's we have to endure the elements. But yeah, it's been tough up here it's been tough all around the country, but nonetheless.
The country is getting smoked.
Yeah. So much for global warming, right?
I know. Well, I think it's just like the opposite now. So like it was the warming and now it's freezing over.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a thing.
Patreon, we could talk about global warming if you want.
I would love to talk about global warming. I have a lot of topics about that too.
I think we differ on opinions too, so that'd be nice.
Down to the, I learned a lot of things. I'm very objective, so like
I try to be.
Yeah, I'm very objective on the things that I see, but then I want to do more research on it. So like, we'll get into that.
We have a lot of stuff to cover on the Patreon.
We do have a lot
we're really building it up.
We got to table some of these things, but I'm interested in getting to them.
Yeah. So stay tuned for the Patreon. We gotta even everything out here with the business and everything.
Yeah. Once this thing gets settled up,
let's get a schedule rolling back again. And boys are back. But it's been another episode. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Like, you subscribe. Don't play around. We're gonna come back.
Peace.
We're gonna come back bigger and better and better.
Bang.